Hello, everyone. I am your host, Gregory Chagrana, sitting in for Andrea Giraldo. Welcome to Meeting of the Minds, brought to you by the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in partnership with Bronxnet Television. This show was created in direct response to the COVID-19 pandemic as a way to highlight the work for our members and partners, as well as understand the resources they have to help our community in those difficult times. Today's discussion will dive into real estate from a landlord's perspective, highlighting issues around the Community Opportunity to Purchase Act and laws that negatively impact property owners. Joining me for today's conversation is the founder and CEO of HL Dynasty, Humberto H.L. Lopes. Once again, hello to everyone home watching Meeting of the Minds. Humberto, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate this, to have my voice heard.
Well, it's a voice that needs to be heard.
Correct.
And it's a voice that's backed by experience,
Yes.
which I think is very much lacking in a lot of the legislation that's being offered in our society today. All right, so now, we definitely have some clips available, but one thing that I'm gonna emphasize is that you started an organization called Gotham Housing Alliance.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna go into that in depth, but why don't we start with the first video clip, which basically kind of gives us an introduction to who you are and what kind of a man you are. All right, so can we play the first clip?
At 9 years old, realizing that back then, what I started and the journey that I started on my own, and saying now, today, looking back at that and say, holy mackerel, wow. At this point, I would say yes. I made my father proud that he could pick up his head and say, that's my son. That's my son. The empire this kid built is tremendous.
All right, so that was a little introduction.
Yes.
And you know what, I follow you. You have a large social media presence, all right? And there was one individual that kind of got you emotional, all right, when he basically accused you of being a trust fund baby.
Yeah.
So are you a trust fund baby or are you a self-made man? That's what I want to know. That's what the public needs to know.
No, I am nowhere near a trust fund baby. I am a self-made man, This goes back when my father passed away when I was 9 years old, I started working in a grocery store, in a bodega, down in Red Hook, which today I own that building. I bought that building when I became, I think, 22 years old. So no, I've made everything that I've done. I've cried, suffered, and sweat and tears to be where I'm at today.
All right, I think that's important, and another thing that I want to say is that I do hear a lot of times, a lot of our elected officials, they say, well, the laws that we're implementing are not hurting Latinos, minorities. You are a Latino, you are a minority, and you know what? I always say all the time that there are minorities that own buildings. They are landlords.
Yeah.
And there has to be a balance, I believe, in basically fair housing for everybody.
100%. I don't disagree. I'm Portuguese and Puerto Rican, so immigrant, minority, all those boxes you can check off. But what I've done in my life in all the years that I bought my property, I bought my property, I was 19, 20 years old, my first piece of property. So can we do that today?
That is another issue. So you know what, why don't we take your advice in legislation in order to figure out how it can be done today? Because I'm sure that, you built an empire of over 100 buildings, is that correct?
Sure.
So we're not talking about some person who owns a building or two, which is important, and a large majority of the people out there who I support, because I'm a big proponent of small property owners, and you're a big proponent of small property owners as well.
See what people forget. I don't forget where I come from in life. I was born and raised in Red Hook. So I don't forget. Matter of fact, I'm now the second largest owner in Red Hook right now, developing that neighborhood when I first started. But the point I want to make out is that small property owners make the neighborhood. They make your block. They make the block association. They make the neighborhood. They make your neighbors. So without these little guys, and I don't want to say little guys to them, but, that makes a community. That makes a borough. That makes everything. And they're hurting so bad, and they don't have a seat at the table. And that's the sad part.
I totally agree. And you know what? I heard that you basically organized a protest against COPA, which is the Community Opportunity Purchase Act.
Yeah.
You know, and when I heard that they went down to as little as 3 family owners, so basically, if you owned a 3-family property and you wanted to sell that property, you needed to give 60 days to find out if a not-for-profit or a tenant association was thinking about purchasing it.
Correct.
And then if they triggered that, I'm thinking about it, then they'd have another 180 days in order to basically prevent you from putting your property on the open market, which for me is a big interference. You're interfering into the public life, public business. You're interfering into contracts. So I want to show the little video where we were down at COPA, all right, and then we could discuss that a little bit, and then we could discuss your success in organizing, and the fact that you were able to make change, which is something that people need to understand, is that we as citizens can make change. And we need people like you to take a leadership role and to help us, give us that leadership lunge in order to that we make effective policy that's good, not only for the tenants, but for the landlords also, to find that happy medium. So why don't we hit the next video and see what was going on down at City Hall based on much of the efforts and treasure and time spent by Humberto Lopes.
It's an American dream that we have, and it's becoming a nightmare. Because now I can't sell my building to whoever I want to sell it to. I got to give it to HPD. Guys, we're here to make a presence to show that we're against this bill. It's nonsense what they're discussing of what it is, that we have a 3-family or 4-family, they're changing it every day. $30,000 fine, no fine, 3% fines. It doesn't make no sense here right now. They're all over the place because they really don't know what they're doing. If you want to buy a building, you don't have to be a nonprofit. You don't have to go through all of that. If a person wants to buy it, you buy it. That's it. There's nothing else about it. It's not fair for us to be told what to do.
All right, so you organized with your own treasure, your own time, you reached out to individuals, and you made change happen. Now, you want to tell us a little bit about COPA, and you want to tell us the whole history of basically how it was approved, and then the gyrations to where we are today?
Yeah, COPA was something I found out maybe 3 weeks before the city council vote, if I'm not mistaken, right? It was about 3 weeks. Once I started learning more about it, and they snuck this in. This was a dead bill. It was just there. No one was paying attention to it. But I don't know exactly who was it that brought this to life and sluck it into the list for it to be voted on.
Can I interject for a second?
Sure.
So as a NYSAR rep, this was floating around for some time.
Oh, for years.
But no one ever really took it seriously. It was never like at the top of our agenda because we just didn't take it seriously that the government would interfere in the sale of a private property, even as low as 3-family homeowners.
Yeah. And the sad thing was that 3 weeks prior, and I found out, yes, one, I think it was done in 2023, 24. It's been sitting there. But no one would think that the government would try to become dictatorships, right? Because there's no other ways of saying it. You're being a dictator to tell me what to do with my property. In America and in New York, no matter what state we're in, it should never be that way. You should never tell a person, hey, you must give me the first refusal of this building. That, in the federal part, would have been knocked down anyway, because that's called steering and discrimination. You should never do that, and it's against the law in the federal. So city wanted to change, to make this a law, and they would still have to now get knocked down and get back into court to sue them to say, hey, there's a federal law that supersedes you, and you have to throw that out. But why even get to that point? How did it even get there? How did we even get to someone to say, let's make this decision based upon what we see and say, see violations, distress? We don't need any of that. Somebody wants to sell a building, a 3-family, a 10-family, a 50-family, a 60, whatever it is, a vacant lot, whatever it might be. Who gives the right for government to come in and tell you, you must do it my way? That's what bothered me the most. And then if you don't do it my way, on top of that, I'm going to give you a $30,000 fine. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where did the line get drawn that we're in some communist country?
All right. So now, in Gotham Housing Alliance, right, let's go to the website and take a look. We didn't see the website yet, right?
No, no. The website's just about
Now,
finishing what I'm mistaken.
I mean, there's so many things that need to be discussed also. Like, for example, what if in my contract I already included a right of first refusal with the tenant? You know, there's things that I don't think a lot of people, you know, like they think they come up with these laws and stuff, but there's intricacies in the law that first of all make it illegal, I think, because you are steering, and
Yeah.
secondly, you know,
Discrimination.
yeah. So now this is the website for Gotham Housing Alliance, and now I know you have a big social media. How many followers do you have, and how is the growth of Gotham Housing Alliance coming along now?
Gotham Housing Alliance, let me go backwards on this to give you an idea what happened. For the past year and a half, 2 years, I've been in social media, and I started my social media platform. My son, I was going to write a book, true story. I was going to write a book about my success in life, that I even wanted to have the Latinos, everyone read as a true success of wealth in America.
All right.
Not just New York, in America, how I came from nothing to come where I'm at now, and where I continue to go, because I'm still growing. I'm not going to stop. So I started looking at all these problems, these situations more and more and more, because I do build buildings for a living. You know, that's how I built a lot of new buildings in Red Hook and a lot of neighborhoods in Brooklyn and Staten Island. And I started seeing situations going on, and there was no representation of a landlord. There are other organizations, I'm not going to get into them, you know, God bless them.
And you're taking them into the fold. You're basically working with everybody.
I want to work with everybody.
Yeah.
Even the existing ones that have been there for 40 years.
Yeah.
You know, in 30 years, they're a long time that they're there. I have no disrespect to nobody. I would love for everyone to join together in a stronger force. That's really what I'm looking for. And then I wanted to have the force to join in with tenants, to come together with us, you see? Because I want to work for everybody. Because it's a better fold if we have landlords first, that we fix the landlords and help the landlords. But Gotham, get back to Gotham. Gotham started on October 29th. The reason why I started Gotham, because I started saying in my videos, we don't have a seat at the table to represent landlords in the right way. Landlords, small businesses, property owners, whatever you want to call
And
us.
realtors too.
Realtors,
I really
also.
think that I just think that there's a lot of bad rhetoric out there.
Tremendous bad rhetoric.
Realtors, you know, we're not the big boys.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that we need to have more of a voice at the table. So why don't we go to an event you had, because you've done some amazing events.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to a clip where some property owners spoke out about their situation. All right, so let's.
Oh, that was the beginning of Gotham, and that was when I actually put 6 city agencies in one room.
Which is something that, you know what, small property owners, they need to know. So why
Yeah.
don't we take a look at that clip?
Yeah.
It's about time that we have a voice, because we really don't have a voice.
Do you think HL is a good voice?
Oh my goodness, I love him because he is really fighting for us, and we haven't had that. I never had that support before. I know that I can count on someone if I have an issue, you know, because sometimes being a landlord, you could probably lose the property faster than what it took you to buy the property. So all these departments coming together and showing us that they actually care means a lot to us. But I look forward to coming more to these, you know what I mean, and just getting some type of support.
What did you think about the 2019 laws?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Where do we even start? I mean, you know, they're obviously not for the landlords. They're mostly for the tenants, you know, and it's only going to get worse, you know, with these people this politics that they're coming into office.
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be fun for us. Right now, the courts are backed up for 2 years. You know what it is to have a tenant 2 years without paying your rent? It's not easy.
So now again,
Yeah.
2 years to get a tenant out. I mean, this is like, you know, how can you run a building when you got two years? Previously, on the last show we had, because we brought up these issues many times, right? We had Langston Management come, which is 11,000 units of units. So we had a property manager, 40 plus years, just like you, telling us that 20 to 25% of the rent stabilized buildings in New York City are in foreclosure or about to go into foreclosure. Yeah. They're telling us that, you know what, there are buildings where the banks don't want it and the building owner don't want it. They call them hot potato buildings.
Yeah.
So you know what, it's like, you know, it's you've gone through all that. You know, you don't want it, they don't want it because of the 2019 laws that they put into place. All right, so that's just an example. That's a young Latino woman. We keep telling people intergenerational wealth.
Right.
And at the same time, you know what? there has to be a real example and opportunity for intergenerational wealth. And it seems like there's an attack on real estate. Do you agree with me or disagree?
100%. You saw what she said? The poor girl, she's second generation or third generation, that she just inherited the building. They were trying to. The amount of people that I deal with now for Gotham, and just in life that they come to me from all my social media platforms, they reach out and they're literally crying of what's going on, what they're getting done. Let's go back to that little topic of the sense of 2 years. Last year was one of my best years. We did 6 to 7 evictions with the marshal. Okay? Why did we have to get to that point? That's my problem here. There's ways of not even getting to that point with the city of New York. But since they've fallen deaf ears that no one wants to listen, I started going back to court myself just to see what was going on in the platform and what was going on in the courts. I was amazed how backwards we went. That the judges don't even ask the tenant, hey, by the way, how'd you lose your job? Or where's your money? Where's your financial? Let me say it the proper way. Where are your financing? How did you get to this point that you owe these people a year or 2 years of rent? And then how, if we give you the one-shot deal, right, or whatever program they give them, how do you continue paying the rent? These questions are not asked. These questions are paid, some of them, and some of these people don't even get paid because they've done the one-shot deal so many times. I've had that already with 2 of the tenants that got thrown out. They did the one-shot deals 3, 4 times. And I inherit these people. When we bought the buildings, you inherit whoever you have in there.
Right.
Nothing you can do about it. I'm not throwing them out, but they stopped paying their rent. We find out, the courts find out, they had already did 3 to 4 one-shot deals. He said, no more, you're out. So the marshal came and threw them out. I took possession of the apartment, and that was it. But there are so many things that are going on that some people say we should change the laws in the tenant and landlord housing court. No, the laws are there already. There are so many laws that are existing, but they're not, how do you say, enforcing the laws. The judges are not enforcing the laws. That's the God honest truth. So they're supposed to hear cases within a few days. They're supposed to make decisions right away. They don't need to prolong. That's another biggest problem in the topic of small landlords and some big landlords too. And there's some big family landlords that have the same problem that the little guys got. The guy with the 3 family.
Can I mention for 20 plus years as a broker, I was very fortunate, and I actually would sell sponsor units for a large property manager called Max Properties.
Uh-huh.
They decided to stop the manager business. An experienced property manager raised their hands with quality buildings. They said enough is enough. Now we're hearing, like, I heard the other day that I think if you get accused of income discrimination,
yeah.
I believe they want to fine you $125,000 as a realtor. $125,000. It's like the average realtor is
making pennies. I have my brokers and my associate brokers are making pennies.
You got 20% that dominate the market, the full-time agents, and then you got people who are trying to get extra food on the table to make a couple of sales.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like they're the enemy. They do a couple of sales a year. They put an extra $5,000, $10,000 in their pocket. They're able to send their kids to private school or to camp or do something good or send them to art lessons or something. Those are the people that we're attacking.
It's the little mom and pop little real estate brokerage that rely on the rentals, right? Some of the stuff that we're doing, we watch the rentals. Some of our brokers, some of my agents that are doing it, I watch what they do because we don't want to have problems.
Of course,
we don't want to have problems. There's no need to rent.
You want to do the right thing, but also everyone seems to be pointing the finger at the landlord and the realtor. You got everyone, and it's so easy to make an accusation.
Yeah,
we had discussed before. Like I had a client who, after she was rejected from an apartment, she went online, she paid $100. She got a dog letter saying that it was, a special need dog, and then she just for the fun of it put a complaint in, and then I had to sit there and I had to prove the timeline after she was rejected. The pet, but you know what? That's time. It's a threat.
Yeah.
It's a constant. You have the Attorney General looking after you. You've got human rights looking after you, and it seems like everyone is just attacking. But they also got to understand that when you sell a building, when a realtor sells a building, the amount of revenue that we're giving into the coffers is just tremendous.
Yeah.
State transfer taxes, city transfer tax, mortgage transfer taxes.
2%, 1.5%. It's people don't realize when there's a real estate transaction. how much the government walks away with.
Yeah, they walk away with more than the realtor.
Yeah. Oh, it's sad. Here's a sad part in a sense of also what I don't like about that, and since we're on that topic, people do not realize that the state gets 2% of the sale or 1.5% of the sale, depending on the building or what you're selling. That check is cut out at the government right there and then.
Right.
Does anyone ask the government, what do you do with that money? Where's that money at?
We generate a lot of money, and
Yeah.
you know what? They turned a lot of realtors into the boogeymen.
Yeah.
And landlords also. Why don't we see the next clip? Because we could talk about this forever.
It's typically viewed that we are against each other.
Yes.
But I've had a great conversation with HL today about how renters and landlords can come together to make housing in New York City better. Ultimately, we want the same thing.
Yes.
Affordable, high quality
100%.
housing where renters are happy
100%.
and they're getting their issues responded to. And that's why I love following your content. My wish and my hope is that landlords and tenants are coming together to actually solve problems and not just complain, which is why I love that you put together this event, because this is a solutions-oriented event, not a complaining session,
No.
which I love.
I just started my coalition today. Gotham Housing Alliance. That is to get all these landlords together fighting the 2019 law. The law that's in place right now has ruined the industry for us, right? So I want to modify it.
I think the key word that you just said is modify. I think most renters are going to be supportive of small modifications that are actually going to help them get access to more housing.
You can join in with me,
Yes.
and I'll join in with you, that I can modify that law.
Yeah.
And once I modify that law, I can get you 700,000 to 800,000 apartments within a year's time.
All right, so that is an example of someone who's a tenant advocate, has a big social gathering, and I love the fact that you gathered a lot of the social media people, because that's the new communication to get the word out. So now you also have tenants joining your organization. Why in the world would a tenant join Gotham Housing Alliance?
It's crazy, but they know what we're based upon. And what is our foundation about? It's to help everyone, right? So if we help the landlords, we help the tenants. That we treat them as good as everyone else. So basically, if you don't help the landlords, and this is another thing with administration that we have today right now, is not helping the landlords. See? Landlords are going through a hell of a lot. We're just about to get now another 7 to 8% increase of property taxes, and maybe more. Even some of my properties are going to go up 40%.
And let's not forget Con Ed, what is it, 9% for gas and 6% for electricity?
Electricity. Here we are now trying to make things affordable. But getting back to the tenants, let me answer that question the right way, to where I'm looking at it. She's a big advocate for tenants. Igloo, Open Igloo, I think it's called. She came to the event. She was following me in social media, and she saw what I was doing, and she saw that I was really for both sides. I'm not just fighting for one side. I'm fighting for both sides, for both of us to get together as one, and then we can understand each other and what's going on. The more tenants are starting to understand what's going on, that the reason why the rents keep on going up is because of the property tax, and the rents are going to go up now again this May, because the property taxes that are coming to me, I got some of my buildings going up $30,000 increase from the 80, 90,000 I'm paying. I don't get it. It's just really, you're doing something that, and the assessments of the values to things, they're not there. So now I have to, do a challenge to the property tax to now drop it down and to start that fight. Most of the time they fall on deaf ears. Nobody listens to that.
All right,
and you keep on going back and forth on it.
I'm a product of the South Bronx. Right? I'm 57, 58 years old. So we moved out when it started to fall apart because of similar issues. And I just don't want us getting back there again. A lot of people say, "Oh, these guys are bluffing," this, that, and the other thing. But the stats. But so it's just real. And you know what? The tenants also. Everyone has to come together and make logical decisions. But I just feel as if the landlords aren't at the table, and I think that's the role that you've taken. Again, with your own time, with your own treasure, you've taken a leadership role. And that's why a Puerto Rican Portuguese kid from Brooklyn who had nothing, and I'm not saying that in a derogatory way.
No, don't worry about it. It's
You know what I'm saying?
honest truth.
You know what I'm saying? But you got up, you're protecting your empire.
Yeah.
All right? But you know what? I just wanted to say thank you again. Let's see if we could fit
But I
one
was
more.
also not being selfish. That's why I want to help everyone else.
Yeah. Okay, we have about 2 minutes left. All right. One thing I also wanted to talk about was really just about the brokers. a lot of these things are saying now we can't charge a broker fee, right?
Right, for the rental departments.
The taxes are going up, right? But now, if you have a rent, I mean, there was one elected official who was laughing at the landlords and the real estate brokers, and they were basically saying, "Oh, look, the rents, the rents haven't gone up," and I was like, "Well,
I know who that was.
right." But the point is that the rents haven't gone up, because it's a rent stabilized building.
Right.
If you have so you know what? They're just jamming up the rent stabilized building to the point where repairs aren't being done. It's patchwork.
Yes.
You know what? And then like the landlords, they have to come out of pocket now in order to give the bank, and a lot of them saying, "I'm not doing it anymore." So, tell us more about Gotham Housing Alliance. We have 2 minutes left. How do you join? Why would you join? And what's the final pitch that you want to give to the? And I also want to say one other thing. I'm not here attacking not-for-profits. I'm not here.
Oh, no,
you know what? They all serve their purpose. All right, but I just don't believe that there should be, like when they talk about equity and all these other words, you know what? Just
No.
this private individuals, especially small individuals, will manage the buildings as needed better than the government. I think that's proven time and time again, compared to, let's say, a NYCHA organization.
Gotham Housing Alliance, was started a few months ago. We are growing strongly. A lot of members are coming in. A lot of donations are coming in. You can go to my social media page, but you can go to my website. I mean, for Gotham Housing Alliance already. What we're doing there is getting a seat at the table, that we can take over the table and now help everyone and take a control of things, that we're not going to allow for laws to be passed and things to be done without our knowledge and our respect, with our input to it. So, Gotham is fighting three things right now, which is the 2019 law that we want to see if we can amend that. We're fighting the tenant and landlord housing court to, join in to just for them to do what they're supposed to do, their job.
Okay, we got 30 seconds. I think you had your last pitch.
Yeah.
Please do put up the website.
Yes.
And again, we just want to make sure that the people who are experienced are at the table making the decisions.
That's right.
All
For
right.
both.
For both.
For both.
All right. So again, maybe I was a little bit more towards the landlords today, but I don't think I was. It's just something that needs to be said.
Yeah.
We thank everybody and all the not-for-profits out there for all the good work they do.
Yes.
And I think that's going to wrap up our show. So thank you for coming. Thank you for your initiative. All right.
And thank you for having me. I mean, it's a pleasure that my voice can be heard and more people can hear what's going on and let the facts speak for themselves.
Okay. So thank you for your time and thank you for coming in today.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.
All right. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. I want to thank our guest, Humberto Lopes, for sharing his organization, his experience, and his passion.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us, our viewers, for tuning in and checking us out. Keep following Bronxnet TV for continued coverage. If you're not a member of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, you can visit us at hispanicchamber.nyc. You can also engage with us on LinkedIn at the New York City Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, all spelled out. I'll see you another time for another episode of Meeting of the Minds in partnership with Bronxnet. See you next